Hi there, my name is Ndindi. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and also a child protection and gender-based violence specialist. Today, we begin the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. We do this every year from the 25th of November, and for 16 days, we discuss, analyze, learn, debate about this monster known as gender-based violence, or simply GBV. Now, today is also the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Tell me, how would you describe violence? The WHO, or World Health Organization, describes it as the intentional use of physical violence or power, threatened or actual, against oneself, against another person, or against a group or community that either results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, death, psychological harm, maldevelopment, or deprivation. Let's think about that for a second. Intentional use, physical force, or power, threatened or actual against oneself, another person, or against a group. Have you ever intentionally threatened or actually used force against another? Did it result in physical or psychological injury? Has that ever happened to you? Well, then you may be described as having participated in gender-based violence as a victim or a perpetrator. This whole COVID situation did not come on its own. It arrived and came with a number of bad relatives. Gender-based violence is one of them. With the stay-at-home directives, we have been in each other's spaces more than ever, and for a number, this has resulted in increased cases of domestic and intimate partner violence. Let's first discuss the different kinds of violence, and let's break it down even further. There is the one we all know, physical violence, where one uses physical force to harm. There's also sexual violence, where one forces another to take part in sexual activity. Then emotional violence. This includes name-calling, belittling, all manner of verbal abuse. Some even say that this form of violence is more prevalent than physical violence. There is also psychological violence, that is playing mind games, intimidation, causing fear, narcissistic kind of tendencies. And this form of abuse is closely related to emotional abuse. Economic violence is another, that is withholding access to money. That has happened. There is also spiritual violence, where one uses one's spiritual beliefs to manipulate or dominate someone. And finally, did you know that neglect is a form of abuse? It is. When you're responsible over someone, you have a duty to provide care and assistance, and if not, then that becomes a form of violence. I bet you and I have experienced a form of violence at least once or twice in our lifetime. For example, I personally dread going to certain parts of Nairobi CBD. Why? Because I will get catcalled, whistled, or at times even grabbed if I don't, for example, look at what that person is selling or whatever it is. I have on so many occasions been called names for not responding. I've been told, utazeeka tu. That is, you will get old one day. Or unaringia nani. Who are you, being proud of, direct translation. Or, na venye uko na sura mbaya. Why? That is violence. Sexual harassment and verbal abuse, to be precise. Once in a while, I have been brave enough to confront some of these guys, but I don't do it too often because I fear an even worse form of violence happening to me. I never realized this until someone pointed this out to me a few years ago, that we women think long and hard about what clothes we are wearing every morning because, because of various forms of sexual harassment that could take place during the day. It's so sad, so sad. You know what? I'll address this sexual harassment topic in another video, since it's a very deep and personal topic. For now, let's discuss the law just a little bit. Don't worry, it's going to be nice and colorful and quick. We have different kinds of laws. There are international statutes and local laws here in Kenya that address the different forms of violence. we have the most famous international law, that is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or in short, it's called CEDAW. It was adopted in 1979. It is backed up by other international instruments such as the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishments. Locally, we have a number of laws. We have the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. We have the Penal Code, which penalizes assault, a form of violence. We have the Sexual Offences Act, which details various sexual offences and other penalties. We also have the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act. Yes, we have one, and FGM is a form of gender-based violence. Tell me, did you know that if you simply hear about an FGM incident taking place in your neighborhood and you do not report it, you can be arrested and held liable? Also, if you own the house where it is taking place or simply provide the tools for the mutilation, you can also be arrested. Now you know. Another key and relatively new law is the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act, which was passed in 2015. That's why it's relatively new. Did you know that you can report a domestic violence act on behalf of the victim? Yes, you can. You can be a neighbor, a relative, or even just a friend. You know, it is an interesting act because it even describes violence as, wait for it, interference from in-laws. Yeah. I mean, we are yet to see any in-laws taken to court for interference, but now you know you can be arrested. So whichever form of violence you feel you are going through, please reach out. There are a number of ways you can report a violent incident. Most police stations have what is called a gender desk. Go and report there. They even also have a number 1195 for reporting gender-based violence cases. There are also organizations where you can call in and seek for help, such as Usikimye, the National Gender and Equality Commission, FIDA, or even calling 116 for the Child Helpline. I hope this information has helped you. Don't keep quiet about it. Share it with your family and friends. You never know whom you might be saving their lives. Also, add on to the conversation where you can, because we need to amplify the rallying call to eliminate violence against women and girls. Don't forget to also like and subscribe to Legal Ease Africa on YouTube and Facebook for more of these discussions. See you next time.